Stephen Correano, KOR, the Sports Hero. My tocayo, as always.
Required description.
Obligatory. Man, we're here. Frank Martin versus Artem.
Haratunian,
I was going to let you have that. Man, former bronze medalist Frank Martin's definitely on the rise. I want to say this is the WBC eliminator. So I know the WBC has given Isaac Cruz a couple eliminator opportunities with Ryan. That didn't work out. With Shakur, that didn't work out. Do you think with the victory on Saturday, Frank Martin will then, is Isaac Cruz maybe kind of the next development into, something like that?
I think it'd be a fascinating fight. And, everyone sort of speculates or, guesses, Cruz is just waiting around for the Tank rematch. That's not the kind of fighter that Isaac Cruz is. He's not going to wait around for a big rematch. And all these guys know the best way to get a big fight is, to take, difficult, challenging fights and to perform well. So I'd love that matchup, if it can be done at the end of the year. But in reality, those are two fighters, really exciting styles. I think it would be a great fight in the ring.
Isaac Cruz actually has a great fight also with Gio on the undercard of the
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
That's a fun one right there.
That's a fun. Yeah, it's not an easy one. I mean, that's one that there'll be plenty of action. There's never a boring fight from Isaac, and now that card is probably even maybe a little bit stronger because you've got Isaac Cruz and now Nonito Donaire on the card as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean that card's shaping up beautifully, man. Let's get to it. I mean, I feel like what's like the feeling now, kind of in the Showtime offices? I mean, we're getting closer. I feel like this may be a little bit of an appetizer, right? Up until
this is the toughest part. The last 2 weeks, because a lot of the work is done. Still have a lot of preparations, but the marketing is out. We finished filming All Access, and now it's sort of a waiting game. Now it's the last 2 weeks. You're just anxious to get to fight week, anxious to get there, just like all the rest of the boxing fans. Get to what everyone knows will be a memorable fight. I mean, there's just no way it's not a good fight in the ring. It's impossible.
Definitely impossible. I heard something about Terrence having an issue about the promotion of the fight, maybe it not being like I don't know where he wanted it or something. Like, did you?
Look. I read some stuff. I haven't heard from Crawford himself or from any of the camp. We at this point you've got early indicators. We're not going to spend a ton of money, in mid-July when we still have 2 weeks. So really, where we should judge is where we are in the last part of the week. Most of our marketing is, as you know, and a lot of hardcore fans know, is focused on the last 7 to 10 days. Sometimes as many as 2 weeks. So really, I'd say middle of the week you'll start to see more of the marketing, and that's really the focus. Because we certainly, don't want to get people sort of piquing their interest 3 or 4 weeks before the fight. It just, you want peak interest in fight week, and that's where, all of our social media content. That's where a lot of the marketing, the ad buys come together. So, we're confident. Look, by the time we get to Saturday the 29th, there's going to be a lot of momentum behind the fight.
Yeah. The blast is coming for sure. Right?
Yeah.
I think we all feel it, kind of being in it, right?
Yep.
Man, you've been a busy guy. Recently, man, incredible Jermell Charlo and Canelo. So just to clear up, obviously I like clearing up rumors with you. So I'm hearing it's a 3-fight deal, right? Jermell obviously is the first one. How does that? Is it a 3-fight deal, and how does that work? Does Canelo need to continue winning for?
It's multiple fights. It's a deal with PBC, which obviously we're the extension there, and there's a lot of flexibility, like a lot of these deals. Nothing's set in stone. Things can change, but I think I don't want to put words in Canelo's mouth, but what seemed to be clearly the motivation was the fact that there's so many really appetizing, really interesting fights available. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like, it's not just let me sign with this one company to get this one fight and then figure it out. No, this is sort of like let's settle it for at least a handful of fights going forward. That makes it easier for marketing. It makes it easier for planning. Makes it easier in terms of just moving fight to fight. Mm-hmm. So I think whether it's Jermell, Jamal, Benavidez, Andre, Spence. Look, those are all great fights, and there's other great fights, and I think that's what the attraction was in making. In signing for more than one fight.
Just walk me through how that process went as far as Canelo was going to be Jamal. Jamal kind of declined, it seemed. I don't know. And then Who decided, hey, we'll throw Mel in?
Yeah, there were always. There was, I would say they were always sort of neck and neck. And not that they were competing with each other, I'm talking Jermell and Jamal. But, Jamal's got a lot going on in his, his private life, unfortunately. And, he's going to get that sorted out. And, everyone knows, like, regardless of the weight classes, a fight with Canelo is a challenging opportunity. And you want to be at your best, and coming off a 2-year layoff, and still, dealing with some stuff in his personal life is not the best opportunity. So it really wasn't, no one talked to anybody. I think it was sort of like a group decision. It's like, are these the best conditions for Jamal to be taking this fight? Because you want to put, both Canelo and Jamal or Jermell in the best position where they can be the best performances. And, right now it's clear this would not be the best Jamal performance, if it were. So, Jermell is, not shy at all. I don't think there's going to be any question, when we see those guys side by side, even at the press conference, certainly on fight night, you're not going to be telling the difference in size. Size is a non-issue. You've got a taller guy and a longer reach in Jermell, very athletic, very strong. I think this is one of Canelo's biggest challenges in quite a while.
That was going to be my question too. Like when approached with Jermell instead of Jamal, right? Jamal was a little closer. What was Canelo's kind of like reaction towards it? Because I would feel like, I mean, he's undisputed, right? Arguably maybe the best ever at 154 pounds. And, that just like Bivol gave Canelo the opportunity, right, to be great and move up. Now he's kind of giving. What was like Canelo's?
Well, Canelo's very smart about marketing. He's been a veteran. He's been in big fights, for a long time. So I think what immediately appealed to him was the marketing angle. And look, in the ring, that takes care of itself. I mean, whether, one guy's at 54, the other guy's at 60. And we both know they're both the same size. They're both, very similar physically. It really wasn't like, no, I'm not going to take the 54-pounder. It was more like, wow, okay, if he'll take it, there's a really interesting marketing angle. It'll be a big fight regardless.
I mean, I gotta ask, what are the chances of David being one of the other two fights? I guess regardless of.
I think they're very good. At the end of the day, Canelo's his own boss, and he's gonna determine where you go. But look, it's a fight that's been talked about for a while, and I think we're closer now to that becoming a possibility than we were a couple months ago. Certainly there's nothing firmly in place, but knowing the Canelo that we all know, he's not a guy who backs away from challenges.
Is there any concern? Just man, poor Derek James. He's got like you guys keep filling his plate.
He's got quite a starting five there. If it was a basketball team, as Spence sort of describes it, But between Ryan and Joshua and the core group that he's got, it's as strong as any gym, in there. And he's very selective in terms of who he spends a lot of time with, and you can see the results. I mean, there's not a guy who he's spending a lot of time with who's not at the top of their division.
No, Showtime's having a stellar year. So is Derek James, of course. Man, just real quickly, just kind of an oddball kind of thing that's happening. I mean, the best of the best are fighting each other just in different sports, right? With Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. Just, what's your take on that whole thing?
Look, I'm obviously we've been involved in our share of whatever you want to call them, gimmicks or influencer fights or things like that. I don't object to it. Look, I'm curious. I mean, the reality is, what you don't want to see is the division being held up. So hopefully this, after this fight, then Tyson is either relinquishing the belts or taking one of those high-level fights that he should be. But I don't blame him at this point. I think it's interesting, and I think people underestimate Ngannou a little bit. He was first a boxer before an MMA fighter. In a lot of ways that was sort of his first love and his first ambition, and he can punch. So, I mean, you never know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yep.
Man, I can't wait for the lineup. It's going to be great, man. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Steven, tell the fans where they can follow you, brother.
On Twitter @Steven Espinoza.
There it is. Appreciate you, sir.